Can't keep me away, can you?
No.
Thinking about opening your own business, did you really understand how difficult it was going to be?
I was managing John's flagship salon at the time. I just felt changes needed to be made, and I felt he was a bit stuck in the 70s. I mean, I was doing very well before I started my business. You know, I was one of the busiest stylists. I was earning very, very well. I didn't get to earn as much till about year 11. Yeah, I think that the franchises that are in the industry are either low level or mid-market.
There's many times when I've thought to myself, I really don't think I want that. One person not doing their job throws everything else.
You can't give a client your attention if you're always fighting fires or running around like a headless chicken. I don't like the mercenary rent-a-chair situation. So joining me on our latest podcast is Mitchell Scott, again, our principal stylist.
Can't keep me away, can you?
No.
So I'm 27 now, and I think you were
Just
27 when you started the salon.
Yes.
Or were thinking about it. Looking back at it, when you started sort of looking into the property and thinking about opening your own business, did you really understand how difficult it was going to be? Or did you just sort of throw yourself into it and learn as you went along?
I think I was sort of very naively optimistic, let's say. I mean, I started as I was trying to stay with John and work through a partnership agreement with him. But I'd seen that it wasn't going to happen, and also that he was moving to America. So his presence was just not really around anymore. So that I'd never had any great desire to run a business. It's not in my family, or not in my immediate family as such. But I knew I had to get away from what I just saw as something that was stagnating. So the idea of the business was that I needed to have that next step. And also I was managing John's flagship salon at the time, and I just felt changes needed to be made, and I felt he was a bit stuck in the 70s with how Leonard's may have operated when hairdressers were like rock stars then. It really was that heyday of hairdressing, and the clientele was different. The way little things like, for instance, the way the salon was set up, all clients were kept waiting an hour or two, literally up to a couple of hours. So most of the women were what you'd call ladies at lunch, and they tolerated that, and it was it was a glamorous sort of time, but things were changing. And you can imagine if everyone's being kept waiting that long, clients are backing up, it's all very stressful. But part of the reasoning behind that was that he wouldn't have a cancellation policy, which I tried to introduce. So on the one hand, you're saying to the client, no, if you decide you want to go to lunch with your friend at the last minute, that's fine, don't worry. And then on the other hand, you're saying, but I'm going to stack my column so full that when you come, you'll wait an hour or two before I see you. I mean, that doesn't feel fair to me. And whilst it was tolerated in those days, I could see change was coming. So I remember I implemented a cancellation policy, and I had a sign put up at reception, and I got away with that for about 2 weeks. And then John came in, and he hadn't seen it before, and he looked at it and went, "What's that?" I said, "Yeah, we've got a cancellation policy now, 24 hours notice." And he went, "We ain't having that." He ripped it down. So we're not having a cancellation policy. And I was like, okay, I'm not quite sure what I can do. I'm supposed to be the manager of the salon, and I can see these problems. I mean, you see how, someone that has come to work with us has a habit of working behind. That's how it used to be. You'd always have 3 clients waiting. On the go. just not a great way to operate. So, that's like one of the things I felt, change is coming, but I can't make these changes. So the way client experiences were, I felt wasn't how I wanted it to be. How the training was for apprentices wasn't how I wanted it to be. So I just felt the thing to do was that I needed to move to do something, but not thinking it through at all.
But do you think the fact that you were naive, do you think that in a way that was actually a good thing? Because had you known how stressful it was going to be,
I'd never have done it.
You probably wouldn't have.
No, I'd never have done it.
No.
I mean, the first 10 years I would say were very difficult. Very difficult. Just not being properly prepared for, to some degree you never can be, but the amount of hats you have to wear when you're running a business and the relentless call for your attention for things, it's not something that people could understand unless they actually are in it.
What would you say to people of my age now who are thinking about going into business or starting a business?
I think it's harder. In some ways it's harder. I think in other ways you could say there's more opportunity, there's more different things you could do, but there's much more competition. So whatever you're doing, often there are loads of people that could equally do that. So your competitive advantage is sort of eroded fairly quickly. To actually establish something that requires a bit more capital, I think the barriers are higher. I say that, although some people would say, well, how do you manage to borrow all that money in the 80s? It was a big investment. It ended up being like nearly £1 million back then, which was real money back then. It's like nearly 40 years ago. But still, it seemed that you could do things. There were fewer hindrances and barriers. There's far more regulation now, so way more in every respect. So you have to contend with many more things where it's very hard if you're on your own doing that. We're a bigger team now, they're 40, 50 people, so we can deal with regulation in an easier way. But even still, in that day, it was very tough. And some people say, I want to have my own business, so I've got more time. It's like, I mean, really, you've got no idea what running a business is if you think you're going to have more time. Or they say, I want to run a business, I'll earn more money. Well, if you're going to earn more money, you'll be very lucky. Your business has to be successful, and that may come in 10 years' time. But if you think you're going to earn more money within a few years, well, if it's that easy, do you not think there are loads of other people doing it? In which case, where's your competitive advantage?
I don't know what the rates are, but success rate for a business is pretty low, isn't it?
I think it's something like 80% fail in the first 5 years, and then 80% of the ones left fail in the next 5 years.
Right.
So you've got a 96% failure rate within 10 years. So, I was doing very well before I started my business. I was one of the busiest stylists. I was earning very, very well. I didn't get to earn as much till about year 11.
Wow.
And for many years I earned nothing. And a lot of people don't quite get that when you're in business. It's relentless. You work 3 times harder for a lot less.
You've got to really want it.
And only if it works does it pay off. So, but I think, having, if you have a good team of people and you can do something, like with the LLP, and I've said it, if people want to open a salon, fantastic, we'll support that. And it takes a lot of the stress away. It's almost a bit like franchising, where a lot of the burden can be taken by the parent company, but obviously you have to be the energy on the ground to make that work. And I think that would work very well.
A lot of hairdressers have opened franchises, haven't they?
Yes. Yes, I think.
But that's not. I mean, is that something that you see for Microvac on that scale, or because it's quite high end?
Yeah, I think the franchises that are in the industry are either low level or mid market. There's none at the high level.
Is that achievable, really?
I think it is with the right people, but not to a. I don't think to a very expansive multiple. You're not going to be looking at hundreds. But I think within the LLP, if you had, 4 or 5 key people that wanted to do something, but it was like a franchise, but it's still part of the LLP. So like partnership offices, I think it could work in the same way that you have high-end restaurants that can make it work. It's not easy. And it's only really in the last 20, 30 years that you started to see that. Prior to that, a great chef, he had one location. And usually if there was any efforts to have another one, it never worked. You've got, I think, better business structures now where it has been shown it can work. So you've got, that hospitality industry, it can work.
Is there, I mean, you've been doing it for a while now, and I'm sure you've brought a lot of people on, but is there a reason why you haven't gone down that road already?
I think because it took an awful long time to establish the business and the clientele, and then I stepped back for probably a 6, 7, 8 year period to set up the product company, which is now 60 odd SKUs. And that's why you've seen me coming back into the salon more now, because that's more established, and there's less development going on. But up until a few years ago, that had a lot more of my attention.
So it's perfect timing for me then.
Well, but it's something that, if someone wanted to do it, we would be fully supportive. Yeah. But we also have to recognise, and that person has to recognise, it's a huge undertaking.
Yeah. I don't envy you.
Yeah, it's a huge undertaking to do it properly. You can play it. You can play at it and see how it feels.
Yeah.
But if you're invested in something, then it hurts when it doesn't work. And it can be very painful when you get it wrong. Yeah. So it's important that if you are going to do it, you understand just how much of your life you're prepared to devote to it. And if it's not much, don't bother.
Right. It's very motivating. No, but it's understandable. I mean, I've worked with you very closely, and I'd get a gist of how stressful it can be. I'm sure I don't fully understand, because I don't think you really understand it until you do it and you actually experience it. But there's many times that I've seen you doing every kind of job possible.
You fill in. Fill in.
There's many times when I've thought to myself, I really don't think I want that. At points, I mean, I'm very ambitious.
Yeah.
And I don't want to sort of get to a point where I just stop. I want to keep developing things. But it definitely makes me question whether is that the exact route that I want to go down. Yeah. Opening the salon, doing the products, that sort of thing. It definitely makes you second think.
Yeah, I'd say you think it through very carefully. But if it is something, doing it within a structure where that structure's already doing it all the work, makes it much more likely to succeed. Yeah. Because you're not having to wear all those hats. There's already a system in place that deals with a lot of that. Yeah. And then you can focus on the things that are actually really important. I think also, you and I both know how we want an environment to work. We also know how we don't like it when it doesn't work that way. Yeah. And, I don't want to work in a space and environment that isn't uplifting. To keep it that way takes a lot of commitment and effort and a lot of help from the whole team. Yeah. So if I don't feel that I can make that work, I wouldn't go down that route. No. Because it can do one's head in.
I'm sure.
There is, yeah. I mean, in terms of salon structure, there has to be, some structured responsibilities and shared responsibilities. I think it's one thing that I think makes an environment work well is where people feel engaged and there's a sense of contribution from everyone, which is why I don't like the mercenary rent-a-chair situation. So in terms of engagement, our structure, we have, 3-4 people that will have more management responsibility from front of house. They'll touch on other things in the salon, office responsibilities that deal with admin as well, holidays, that sort of thing. All the things that come up. But then in different departments, like in our colour department, the senior colourists will look after stock and stock ordering. Front of house will look after their retail and admin stock. And it leaves the operators really to look after their clients, but also their apprentices, because they are role models for their apprentices. So, I like a salon to be so organised, and I've said this to front of house people, it should be so organised that you can just sit and chat with a client and drink champagne with them, although, obviously don't get drunk, because everything just works perfectly around you. If there's constantly things going wrong, then it affects the relationship that you're going to have with the client, because you're constantly trying to fix things or deal with things that haven't been done. So the better a salon's organised, the easier it is that we can then just party with the clients, because for the clients, they want to feel like they're coming to an event, not just an experience, it's beyond an experience, and that everyone can give them their attention. You can't give a client your attention if you're always fighting fires or running around like a headless chicken because your juniors haven't put any equipment out in the drawers. For example.
Yeah.
So,
one thing can
so
one person not doing their job throws everything
exactly.
else off.
So structuring the business where we have morning prep.
Yeah.
Morning prep's really important because it engages everyone as a team and makes sure that first thing everything is ready to receive clients, and that also everything's ready that stylists and everyone can work without thinking, have I got this, have I got that?
It gets you into work mode, doesn't it?
It gets the energy up.
Yeah, being at home, before your client comes in, you're already sort of thinking about how your section looks, have I got everything I'm going to need? Because there's nothing worse than being with a client who's spending whatever they're spending with us.
Yeah.
There's an expectation that it's sort of seamless. And if
exactly.
you're sort of running around, nothing's there, something's dirty, it isn't a good look. So you're right. The structure is very important.
But that's not a manager cracking the whip.
No,
that's all the senior.
It's from everyone.
Yeah, all the senior people engaged in making sure that their department is ready for clients, and that sense of engagement is very important first thing. Yeah, because that's going to follow through the day.
I think there's one of the sayings you always say is like, if you see it. It's a bit like the TFL thing, see it, say it, sort it. But it's like if you see it, then you either sort it out, or if you physically can't do it, you make sure that someone else is aware of it and that they sort it.
Yeah.
So you don't just sort of ignore things that look out of place.
Yeah. And that can't just be the job of a manager.
No.
That has to be trained into everyone in the whole team.
Well, it takes the pressure off of the managers.
Yeah.
It's like one less thing for them to have to manage. And they're things that we're using anyway. So it's like, no one wants to work with dirty equipment or everyone wants like a fully stocked drawer.
That's right.
And so, it's no one else's responsibility really. It's like, just see it, sort it out.
So, some people think we run the salon like an army camp. I find that a bit odd, but it's really just about making it easy for everyone to work.
Yeah.
It does take a little bit of effort in order for us to actually have an easy day with our clients. That's talking about our salon structure. So thank you very much, Mitchell.
Thank you.
That's the end of that podcast.
Thank you very much.
We'll be starting the next one soon.
Brilliant.